Blockchain. You've probably heard the word tossed around with Bitcoin, NFTs, or Web3, but what does it actually mean and how does it work? Let's break it down simply. At its core, a blockchain is just a special kind of database. Imagine a notebook that's shared with thousands of people around the world. Every time someone writes something in the notebook, everyone else gets an identical copy. And once something is written, it can't be erased or changed. It's permanent. That's the foundation of blockchain. Instead of being stored on a single company's computer, like Facebook's servers or your bank's database, blockchain is stored across a network of computers called nodes. Each node has a copy of the same ledger and they constantly communicate with each other to stay in sync. This makes it decentralized. No single person or company controls it. Now, the block part comes from the way information is stored. Data is grouped together into blocks. Think of a block like a page in that notebook. Once the page is full, it's sealed and linked to the previous page, forming a chain of pages. Or in this case, a chain of blocks. That's why it's called blockchain. But how do we make sure no one cheats? Like, what if someone tries to add a fake transaction saying they own $1 million when they don't? This is where cryptography comes in. Each block has something called a hash, which is like a digital fingerprint. If even a tiny detail changes, the fingerprint changes completely, which makes tampering obvious. And because each block's fingerprint is tied to the one before it, you'd have to change the entire chain to pull off a hack. And that's practically impossible when thousands of computers are watching. Adding new blocks requires consensus. Depending on the blockchain, this can happen in different ways. For example, Bitcoin uses proof of work, where computers compete to solve a math puzzle. The first one to solve it gets to add the new block and earns a reward, usually in the form of cryptocurrency. Other blockchains use proof of stake, where people lock up some of their coins as collateral, and the system randomly selects validators from them. Both methods are ways of making sure the majority agrees on what gets added to the chain. So, what does this mean in practice? Let's say you send money to a friend using a blockchain-based currency. That transaction gets broadcast to the network. Computers check, do you actually have the funds? If yes, your transaction is grouped with others into a block. Validators confirm it, and once it's approved, the block is added to the chain. Now the transfer is permanently recorded for everyone to see, and your friend receives the funds. This system has some powerful advantages. First, it's transparent, anyone can check the records. Second, it's secure because of cryptography and decentralization. And third, it removes the need for a middleman like a bank or payment processor. That's why blockchain isn't just about money, it's also being used for supply chains, voting systems, digital identity, smart contracts, and more. Of course, blockchain isn't perfect. It can be slow, it can use a lot of energy, especially proof of work systems, and it's still evolving. But at its core, it's a breakthrough. A way for strangers to trust each other and share information without relying on a central authority. So, in 5 minutes, here's the big picture. Blockchain is a decentralized, secure, and transparent way of recording information. It works by grouping data into blocks, linking them into a chain, and having a network of computers agree on the record. It's like a global notebook that no one controls but everyone can trust. And now you actually know how blockchain works.